Okay, it says we're live. This is cool. It's been a while. Remember how this stuff all works? Been safe for a long time. I get back and do some streaming, and yeah, just kept haven't really found the time. Putting it off a little bit. But yeah, just have lots of things in my head going. Oh, you could do this on the stream, and yeah, and just like yeah, we'll do it. We'll get back. We'll do a stream. It's been a while. Um, Last one I did, I think, was quite a while ago. When was the last stream that we did? That's this stream. I want to see all the streams. Let's go back to it. It's fine. It doesn't matter. I think it's been a while. Yeah, working on PHP South Wales website. It's like 2 years ago. Wow, that's a little while ago. But cool. Good. Hopefully, if you're hanging out, feel free to say hi in the chat. I've got the chat open on the side, so if you're around, feel free to say hi, and I'll try and keep an eye as we're going. Today, I want to do some work on this build configs tool that I've been working on recently. Given a couple of talks about it, some user groups. It's a tool that I used to generate build configuration files for projects, particularly Drupal projects, but also some Symfony and some PHP projects as well. There's some other things. Been evolving it quite a bit recently. But yeah, there's a few things I want to do with it. And after seeing Ryan's talk and seeing Ryan Reeves start to do some more streaming, Ryan from Symphony Cast do some more streaming, he'd mentioned about Tutzero, which is a CLI tool that he's built that uses Behat. So I might try and get to Behat today. That's the plan. I've not looked at Behat for quite a while, but there's a few things I want to do. One thing I need to do is post this tweet just about live, do some PHP work. Yeah, let's post that. I'm not too bothered if nobody turns up and joins this one. It's been the first one for a while, so I just want to get one done, and then we'll see, and then we'll get back into doing this a bit regularly, hopefully. Yeah, but build configs is a tool I've started. It's a Symfony CLI tool, so command line tool. Uses a build configuration file, YAML file, and there's a whole CLI tool behind it that generates files from a build YAML tool. So rather than having to maintain different Docker files, different Docker Compose files, different PHP standard configuration files, etc., I've got a set of templates that I use. I can keep those maintained and up to date and improved locally. And then I can have a project and say this one uses PHP 7.2, 7.3, 8.1, 8.2, uses Apache, uses Nginx. This one uses PHP Unit or Pest or Paratest. That might not be there yet, but that is something on my list of things to look at. Yeah, this talk I gave that goes into a bit more about what it does, what it solves. And yeah, here's a good diagram actually that sort of shows what's going on. So build YAML file per project. Then we've got some twig files, all the template files are twig. Build configs in the middle, and then output files, just like Docker files and Docker Compose files. It's the third iteration of a tool like this that I've used or worked on. The name is I took from Alta4 Stream on Twitch. He's built something similar for himself in Rust. I think my version was called the build configuration file generator or something like that. Quite like this. This one's a bit shorter, a bit snappier. So yeah, we'll do some work on this. So see it running. It's on GitHub. The actual CLI to itself is closed, so that's not open source. But there are projects that I've got on GitHub. Some Docker examples, for example, like this Drupal Docker example. This is all done using Docker, but is using build configs generated configuration files. So you can see we've got a build.yaml file in this repo that gives it a name, gives it a language, PHP because it's Drupal, and then the type is Drupal. This one uses Nginx, which type of database, which version of a database you want to use, which version of PHP. So this uses the Docker image label, 8.2 FPM bullseye, which PHP code sniffer we want to use, which paths we want to check, what standards we want to check, and PHP stand we want to check. So yeah, I carry on building up these files, adding some more things to it. The Docker doc root is quite an important one, because certain projects are in web, and some are in doc root, and some aren't in any at all. So it just means I've got a bit of an abstraction between each project and the files that it generates, so I can maintain those separately, fix any bugs, add any enhancements to them, and I don't get things like, does this file have Xdebug? Does this project have Xdebug in it or not? Or is that one, or this project has this thing and that one doesn't? So really solves that problem for me anyway, and for some examples and some projects. The one I wanted to go to is here. So this build configs has a build configs file itself, so I can open that up. Yeah, it's a Symfony project, it's PHP. This one's using a Nix flake inside of a Docker image, so I can specify which packages we want in the flake, and then it generates the flake file from this. So again, this is all templated. It just inputs the fact that we want PHP 8.2 and we want 8.2 Composer, takes those from the YAML file on the right and generates the file on the left. So I can run it. Let's see if we can see what it does. So I do bin, this one's not console, this one is build configs. I can specify a configuration file to use. I won't do it right now, but I will specify an output, just because I don't want it to output it all. Is it -O? Let's see, I've forgotten how to use my own tool. Oh, no, we need to actually pass the command app_generate. -O temp string. There we go. So this project is building the configuration for this project from that Nix build YAML file that we saw, and it's generated these files. So this githooks file and then this flake.nix file, as we saw. If I was to specify a different config file, let's say GitHub Docker example, so do the Docker example, the Drupal example one. That doesn't exist because it's in main. I also need to specify the file name. So now it's using this project name, and as you can see, there's a lot more files to it. And then we can look at tree, we can do tree, we can do tree on temp stream and see the files that it's generated. So made this file, yeah, same list that we just saw, and it's also made all these directories that it needs as well. So it puts things into the right place. So what I would like to do is, well, first of all, I have a run file. So the run file is just a small bash file that gives me some aliases that I can run. So I can run things like run build, run CI test, run clean. It runs the underlying commands in it as well. So actually, let's have a look at the run file. So yeah, each of those things that I just mentioned has a function called clean, function called build. And towards the bottom, we've got this magic line at the bottom that takes the command name that I've passed it and uses it. Something I took from Nick Hackis on some of his projects, which is just an approach that I really like. I've also used just files, which is something else I picked up from Multi4. I tend to use the two interchangeably. I like this, but it works everywhere, which is nice. It's a little bit more verbose. Yeah, so we do have some tests, I think, in this project. Just see, we need to do a composer install. Yeah, so we have some projects and tests. They're all passing. That's awesome. It's got some things with just validating the configuration file, because we've got a config DTO. Actually, we can show you that as well. Yeah, so look, tries to map that build.yaml file to a data transfer object, and we'll validate them first to make sure that everything is valid. So I can't pass through an empty PHP version or an array instead of a string or something. So this, yeah, all using Symfony, and this is using Symfony validation, this data object, and then can't remember what the right word is now. Well, it says assertions here. Maybe there's an actual better word for it. Come back to me. And then yeah, it counts up all the violations and then validates them to make sure that there aren't any errors before it progresses. I do also have this thing of test snapshot, which is what I might want to use the Behat stuff for potentially. Snapshots plural. So this is just a fairly naive implementation of snapshot testing. I've got some files that snapshotted versions of files, so the ones that I know what the files need to look like, and then I run that against a few different example projects within the tool itself, and then compare the output. So I might want to use that instead of use Behat instead of that potentially, and make that a bit more streamlined. What I might want to do actually before I jump into any of the Behat stuff, I'm going to try and keep an eye on time and maybe keep this stream a bit shorter, just because it's the first one for a while and we'll have to build our way back into it. I would like to have a look and maybe introduce a dry run command if there isn't one already, or a dry run option. So instead of having it make all the files, it would be nice just to be able to see a list of files it would generate if I let it. So I don't think that's an option by default. So let's see. If we go back up again, find this. I don't think we've got like a dry run option. No. So some things I've tried to add before, like quiet, and quiet is just there anyway by the Symfony console. So we get it by default, but we don't get one for dry run. So I think we might add this first, and then that might make it easier to do the Behat testing, because we can either assert that a particular file name is within the output, the list of files it would have generated. That might be one way of doing it, rather than having it generate actual files on disk and then have to check. But I don't know. I'd like to have a dry run option anyway, really. So yeah, I might just look into that quickly. So the way this works, okay, it's a Symfony console, as I said, a Symfony application. Let's see, how do we pass the number of levels in L? It's been a while, chat, it's fine. L1? No, I'll do this. Pattern, read the docs, Ollie, come on. Level, yeah, it is a capital L, it says there. Okay, we need to put the space. Okay, cool. So we have, this is the Symfony console the Symfony application level. So tree, so it's fairly standard in terms of what it does. We've got the bin box humbug project, so that's generating a file. So we've got we've got vendor and vendor bin. Then within, let's see, source is where they've got the interesting sort of stuff. So we've got some action classes that generate final configuration data, create list of files, generate the files themselves, validate the configuration data from the build YAML file. I'm using even though it's a Symfony project, I'm using some Laravel packages in it, using Illuminate connections and using pipelines. So this is the first time I tried using pipelines to see what they did. Yeah, so, and we've got the actual commands. We've got generate command and then an init command that generates the file initially, but I don't think I've really ever used that much. I just tend to copy and paste a build file from a different project and tweak it, but I do have an init command as well. And then we've got the config data transfer object and a template file and some enums. So a nice little project that serves a purpose and fixes a problem for me. It consolidates things and also means that I get to play with something a little bit different. As in, I like Symfony. I use it for a couple of client projects I've used it for, and a lot of internal tools. And yes, actually using it the other day with build a little design system with it to see how that would work. So that was a fun couple of hours just to do see if I can get something built. Again, having had Mark Conroy and then Ryan Weaver on Beyond Blocks podcast, quite inspired by both of their things, especially Mark's thing of building something useful in a day with his running plan generator. I thought that was, it's like, what can I build here for in a couple of hours, and was doing design system stuff that day. I thought, I'll try and build a little design system app, and thought, I could try using some of those things that Ryan had mentioned with Symfony components and new Twig components and things, Symfony UX and Twig components. So that was really cool. Okay, so this is the generate command. Again, let's jump back here. So we've got a lot of imports at the top, but these are some things I like use like annotations now. Let's say, so this is a command, and the command name is app generate, and this is the description. There's been discussions about bringing these sorts of annotations into Drupal as well, which I think is really interesting for things like, presumably things like parameters, plugin parameters and definitions and things. So that's following that with some interest for sure. Could do some private constructor injection, so we don't need to set the properties manually anymore. We can say here whether they're public or private or protected. So we're injecting some things. And then we have some options. Jumped a little bit too far there. It's a bad habit when it's just to hold down a J key to go down. But if I jump down as half a screen, it jumps down too far. So I'm going against some of my muscle memory here. But here we got options. So specify which config file we're using, and then the output directory. So I think I want to add another option here for dry run. So if we just move this around a little bit, so dry run, you don't need a shortcut, and option is going to be optional, value optional, and whether to generate files or not. Do we need the full stop at the end? Have I done it for any of the others? No. Okay. And I don't think we need a default if it's optional. Cool. Okay. So let's try this again. Let's find that command. So okay, so it runs now. It's no longer complaining that dry run doesn't exist because we've just added it. So what I was going to do was run help. So now we can see the help for the command that we're running. So app generate options. There's the config file, there's the output directory, and there's dry run. Whether to generate files or not. Interestingly, some of these have the full stop at the end and some don't. So it's not very consistent. I'll leave it off for now. I think what would be interesting as well is have could we make it, because the output directory is, that's interesting, that's got value required, but the actual option is not required, value optional. We don't want a value none. Yeah, we don't want to set dry run something, we just want to say that it's on or off. Dry run. Yeah, we don't have the equals part there anymore, so I think that's more what I was expecting. Okay, let's move this into the middle. So let's try doing this. Here's dry run, and then dry run. So for now, let's just DD this out. And let's make sure we're actually calling the command, because that always helps, right? Okay, so adding it is true, and then not adding it is false. Okay, so we know whether we're doing a dry run or not, which is good. Cool. Okie dokie. Let's see. So this should no longer play this unreachable because I've just removed that DD. Yeah, and this is when I was trying to use pipelines. Previously I tried to use a collection, with different stages. Pipelines was coming up on Twitter and things at the time, and I was like, oh, that sounds like an interesting thing to try out. So I thought we'd give it a go. And the one that we're going to need to do is, I was wondering whether we need to do actually in the pipeline step, or whether we could just say can we put an if statement in here? I doubt it, but let's try it and see whether it works. Pipelines. Oh no, it's an array, so surely we can. Let's put this back the way it was. Let's have a look. So pipelines is an array. So in theory, I was thinking what we we're going to have to do is say do it at like the twig level and say still execute that part of the pipeline, as in try and generate the files, but then and then sort of stop it there. But yeah, if we can literally not add it to the pipeline at all and just remove that step, that seems like the better way of doing it. So we have 4 things in the pipeline. So what we could do is then do can we do this and just do an if statement and then say if is dry run and do a dry run equals false. So if it's not a dry run, we want to run this. And I've probably got PHP Stan strict rules, strict mode, strict rules, features, strict. Let's just find out. PHP Stan strict types, strict rules. It is strict rules. I've probably got this on a project, and I do like PHP Stan. I use it a lot on every project, and I do like strict rules as well. So usually you could do something like this and say if it's not dry run, and that actually might be fine for strict rules. Now I've said that, I'm not sure. But I know it does things like saying it can't be an empty array, for example, or it doesn't use empty, and wanted to be quite explicit about what you're doing. But so this might have been okay actually. And we can do pipelines. Add a new thing to the pipeline if dry run is false. If we are not using dry run, generate the false. Yeah, can't see anything in chat, which is fine. It's the middle of the afternoon, so it's fine. I guess people are working. If you are just hanging out, then just feel free to say hi. It's dry run, blah 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 blah. Okay, so let's put DD back in again. Pipeline. Let's just see how many pipelines we get. So we get 4. And then in theory, add this with dry run, we should get 3. That's what I'm expecting. Cool. It's looking really good. This is not the way I was expecting to do it, but I was thinking on the fly here, so that's good. Okay, so we're only adding in the generate configuration file step if we're not to go dry run, and then I was wondering whether any of this is going to fail. Generated files. We send those steps through the pipeline with the config file. It's the only time I've used these, so I assume it's going to work with the change we've done. If not, we'll revert them and we'll go back to the way I was thinking we would have to do it. We've got info, building configuration file for the name, so we get that from the transfer DTO object. then we get the generated files, and then we get the list of files. So we should still get the list of files because that's its own step. Create list of files to generate is here, so that should be fine. We can get rid of that step now, that empty space as well. You know, we might as well just do that as well. Cool. Okay. So, theory. Temp stream. So we have ls temp stream because that's where we said to put it. That's fine. But let's remove. Let's not do that. That's a bad idea. Alright, stream. So that is now gone. We don't have that. So if I was to regenerate this again with dry run, my theory is we should not have that directory made again. Or it's going to blow up completely. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting this to happen. Error thrown whilst running command. Blah, 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 generate. Try run method. Just list of files must be type of collection. Data transfer object given. Okay, is that because of this? Let's remove this option again. So in my mind, let's put it back to the way it was. Okay, that works. Okay, generate configuration file. It's the last step in the pipeline, so I'd have assumed it would have not broken everything if I was to not add it. This is good, but I'm learning, which is one reason why I wanted to get back and do some more streams again, because it's a good time to put some time aside to learn stuff and try things out. I'm always seem to be doing something, whether it's a blog post or a talk or some side project or something. So it'd be nice to do a bit more streaming again. So why is this happening? Pipelines. Pipeline is configuration files. Let's go back to that error again. Let's save this and go back. Generate files, critical thrown, running the command, build main, that's all fine. So, argument 1 must be a type of a collection. Data transfer object is given. So, is it because it's the last thing in the pipeline, but maybe there's something it's doing that I'm just not aware of. Let's see, let's put this back the way it was. Abort. No, I can't type. This is having a very bad effect. Delete till n. Let's go back to this. Fine. Trying to do some more typing again recently because I've gone back. I think maybe to some bad habits in my typing and tend to usually very quick at typing, but it's my accuracy. That's the one that the bit that I'm trying to improve. And my theory being that if I can improve my accuracy again, it's usually around 90 to 95%. Usually around 95%. Then I should get faster at actually typing, and more time to delete and go back all the time. So this is working again. Okay, I think we're going to go back to the way I was thinking of doing it at the beginning. But this was useful. So we can jump to this, and let's have a look at what we're doing in this one. So I was thinking we could literally just say like, don't do the dump file part. Like still render everything, but just don't write the file, which seems a bit silly because then we might be doing potentially more than we need to get it to achieve the thing we want to achieve, which is why the other way seems like a good way of doing it. But if that's going to give an error, then we'll just try and keep moving forward. Okay, let's see. I'll also update some of these dot blocks as well, so we can do things like non-empty string, which again is PHP stem stuff. You should never have like an empty string as a key. Files to generate. Each file is a template file, and if the path is not null, we're going to make the parent. So things like things in the tools directory that we need to make the actual paths for. It's going to do that first. So again, we don't need to do any of that if we're doing dry run. Okay. File system. Okay, we need to get the dry run value. So we can do this here. So we can, in theory, then pass this here as another option. And we can jump back to that definition again. Why have I got that come up twice as well? I've got the actual class, and then I've got the constructor for the class. That's not usually what happens. No, screenshot that quickly. I was doing some changes to the MyLSP config yesterday because I was doing go to definition, and it was giving me the version I wanted, but also the version that it was saved in the next store. So I never want to go there in a go to definition. So I've filtered that out. So it looks like I need to do that again. Because if it's the same file, then we don't need to see it twice. Okay, so let's just duplicate there, spool, and it is dry run. This dry run is never read. Okay. This is cool. Let's just validate this by let's do another DD driven development today. So it'll be this. This is dry run. I've got all the LSP errors coming up. Okay, so dry run is true, dry run is false. Okay. Cooking on gas again here, chat, we're good. Okay, so we know whether it's a dry run, which is good. You know, we might as well, I feel like we might use that default for some reason. Maybe we don't, but it feels like the right thing to do. And then for each file to generate, blah, 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 blah. You know what, do we need to do any of this? Like, again, so thinking like, could we just not dump the file at the end, but then it would still be running all the other things. So we definitely don't need to make the path, but we need to make the file. But then do we need to loop over the files at all if we're not doing it? But the way this works, from my recollection, is that each pipeline, what's the word? At least pipe in the pipeline. Each class in the pipeline, it's sort of like a middleware, and you pass each thing into the handle, and at the end you say run the next thing. So what we could even do is just say, like, if it's dry run, then just return the next thing straight away. Let's see whether that seems like the earliest place we could do it, and it sort of depends on whether then that would still break everything. But here we don't know the files to generate yet here, so I can maybe go there. It's one space after the function keyword. What? Oh, here, okay. That's not related to this change, but I've just added the PHPCS coding standards file to this as well, and I've just changed my Vim config to use Vim and Vimlint as well. So as I'm going into these projects, I'm seeing some messages that I wasn't seeing before. Although in theory they're using the same coding standard, but yeah, I didn't have the file there, so I guess yeah, the actual rules it's applying is also different. I've set this one to be so let's just harpoon add this one quickly. So I've added PHPs, yes. Yeah, this one's using PSR 12. PHP. I don't know if there's an actual Symfony one. I feel like there is, but I couldn't find it when I looked. Because I know there's some slight differences. Symfony one. Anyway, let's save this. And let's just try this again. Cool, okay, so it didn't error out this time. It didn't like just blow up at the beginning. So this is sort of expected. So it's still going to say built-in configuration file 4. Generated files probably isn't true anymore because it's not generated them. So we would change that. But here's the list. So here's Docker ignore, here's env example, here's all the files it would have generated. So again, I suppose we can try and do that ls stream. Although it did it generate them? Let's try this again. Let's review this again. Just double check. Stream. If this is a dry run, just return the next thing. Okay, let's just try this again. So there are no files. Okay, let's run this again. Let's run this with the thing, run with the dry run option. Okay, so there's no file. That's good. Good. So that's expected. Because we gave it the dry run option, we didn't expect it to make any files. That's fine. If we don't add the dry run option, we should have files. Yes. And then let's do another dry run. And let's make this like stream 2. So we shouldn't have stream 2. No. Okay, cool. I was worried there for a second that it still wasn't working, but there must have been one left from the previous run. It's a bit chilly today. It's been really strange weather today. I've been out this morning and it's been sun, rain, sun, hailstone, rain, sun. We haven't had snow, so I think I've heard there might be snow coming. But it's definitely cold enough. Cool. Okay, so let's save this. So the thing I've been using a bit more recently is LazyGit for some things, and because it doesn't do a couple of things. I won't go into it too much now, but I typically am just like command line git person. There's a lot of value in learning how the command line itself works, instead of just how the git command line works. See, sometimes people are too reliant on GUIs and then don't know how to fix problems when something occurs. And also, they tend to they add their own terminology in as well to things like it was like a sync option, and it was like a push and a pull, or a pull and a push, and people then are like, yeah, well, how do I run git sync? I'm like, git sync isn't a thing. It's just in your GUI tool. Okay, so I'm just going to pick what we want. Actually, we didn't. That's one thing I didn't want. Okay, we want the dry run. We don't want that. That's a different change. We don't want that. That's a different change. Okay. Just step to this. So that's something different again. That was a fix I was doing just before stream. Got some experimental flags in this tool. So I had experimental flag for using new database credentials, which I've removed, and then it was complaining because the Drupal example still has that in its build file. So because it was set to not allow extra options, it was erroring because it didn't like me passing through an extra option. Cool. Okay, so everything on the left is not being committed. So we're not adding the empty string. Excuse me, we're in the wrong tab. There we go. Not adding the empty string. We're not adding the extra space. I'll do those as sort of code cleanups. Or I can run a big PHP code fixer now. We're using PSR 12. Cool. So let's just do this commit. Add dry run flag. Is it flag or is it flag? Says to be the keyword. Like the Symfony term is arguments and options. So let's go with option. Don't generate files if dry run. It's amazing how quickly the time goes. We're doing like streaming, and I find when I'm doing paid programming or mob programming or giving a talk, it's just standing up. It's like, yeah, you're always worried it's going to take so long to do stuff and it's going to go slowly, but time seems to fly by. Don't generate files if the dry run option is set. If the dry run option. Yeah, it's one of the things for me with this. Usually the way I've got it set up is in my terminal is I can have it let's see, I mean, like I've got like things set in here, so I've got a little color column colors thing set up. So the standard is to have, I think it's 52 characters for the subject and 72 for the body, I think. So here I can sort of see where those lines are. So the subject starts here and the body stops there. And I write a lot of really long commit messages, so people will know. So yeah, I can sort of see where they are in here, and I can just, I think I've got it set up so it'll just like wrap automatically as well, which is really nice. Lazy Git at the moment doesn't add any sort of validation to your commit message or turn red or anything when if you go over a certain limit. So there's an issue for it. Let's see. So okay, we want to change this message a little bit actually, because it's not generating any files. We can either change generated files to sort of would be generated files, or files that would be generated, or maybe just add an option that just says like you're running this in dry run mode. No files have been created, or both. So if we jump back to here, go back to the actual generate command. I think that's where. Let's see what's in my harpoon list. There we go. So where's the bit that generates files? Okay, so building configuration for name generated files. Okay, so again, we already have the option here to know whether we are dry running or not. So it's probably not the right term to use. So if it's a dry run, then we can do some things. Let's move that up. I'm also going to change some of my settings here, because even though there's more code here, and it's folding between line 10 and 34, so there's 24 lines there, yeah. That hiding a bit, it's wrapping it a bit near. So maybe when I've changed my settings recently, I've changed that setting. It seems to be more lines above now. Maybe the scroll off option, whatever it's called, I've changed. Okay, so if it's dry run is true, we're going to do something else. Otherwise, we are going to do this. To be generated files wouldn't make sense, but let's just do files that would have been generated. Okay, so you've passed the dry run option, files that would have been generated. Cool, and then take the dry run option off. Then we're back to our normal generated files message. Cool. And then also, if it is a dry run, we can use the IO Symphony style thing, and we can put another thing here. Not sure what the best one is. Let's see, symphony style. There's one with screenshots in it that I can see. If not, we'll just try one. That's just the code. That's not going to be screenshots in there. Where is it? I'm sure there's one that has the that's coding docs again. I'm sure there's a page with screenshots in. It's fine. We'll go with it. Okay, so what were those options again? Let's see. Ask, no. Ask hidden, no. Ask question, no. Block, maybe. Caution, choice, no. Comment, confirm. It's probably note. Info. Info is the same one we're already. No, info's not the one we're already using. Close some of these tabs. Let's add dry run option back again. Okay. Okay, yeah, we're using info there. Okay, that's sure we'll be using it somewhere. But that looks we want it to stand out from that message. Let's try a few options. Let's see. Block was the other one. Oh, I keep switching that workspace. I don't want it to do that. So that's just empty. That's not what we want. Choice, comment. Comment, I think is going to add like 2 slashes before it. Yep. Let's see. I'm sure there's people who do a lot more Symfony stuff than me going, it's this one. It's the one you should be using, or the one that would look best is debug. It's decorated. That's interesting. Velocity is debug. It's different. It's quiet. That'd be interesting. If it's quiet, do something. Start section. No. Text a warning. It's not really a warning, though. Let's see what it does. Yeah, that's more what I was trying to do. Something that would sort of stand out and sort of appears. Which, like, is it a warning? I don't know, but yeah. Okay, I think we'll go with it. I can always change it later on anyway. This is a dry run. Typing messages is always interesting. This is a dry run. No files have been generated. Okay, cool. So info, building configuration file 4, warning, it's a dry run, no files have been generated, and then we can still see the list of files. I don't know, is this, like, technically that's right, but is it just having that message enough? Let's see how we feel. And of course we don't need that else. Yeah, I mean, technically, because it's not generating the files, but it does say above that no files have been generated. So I might just leave it like that. I think keep that simple. So if try run equals true, run that. Okay. So the way it usually this is I've got some editors set up and I can do git add patch. That's how I usually would do things. I'd step through like this and say, yes, I want that bit. No, I don't want that bit. So it'd split it up by hunk, and I can just say yes, no, quit. If I remember all these, yes, no, quit, add. No, after all that, slash, I believe, I would assume search. Yeah, I don't know actually. E would be edit, and then Q question mark I assume would be help. So let's see. Stage, do not stage, quit, stage all and later hunks. Okay, so everything from this hunk down in the same file. Do not stage or this hunk or any later hunks in the file. Okay, manually edit the hunk, so I was right with that one. Okay, I was most of the way there. So it's that, and then we can say no to this one. So I can do a git status again. See just that one, change, staged. And yeah, we can just add this one file. Add a mess warning if try is used. Question then being, are they the same commit? Because they're both relate to adding the dry run option. So I might just fix that one up into the first commit that I did. So I've got RI as an alias for Rebase Interactive. And then just show me the commits that I've made since the last push. So to make a revert, because I broke something, to revert something, format, and then add the dry run option, and then add a warning. So what we'll do, I think, this is just squash. And then my problem usually with squashing, particularly on things like GitHub and GitLab, is then people, it just loses all the context. If you like me, and you write a lot of longer commit messages and put some time and effort into them, and then someone just squashes them, and then you end up with a merge this commit message or a sprint 50 commit message or something that you lose a lot of the context description. So we'll keep that the same. That makes sense. I believe we shouldn't have a full stop at the end of that because it's the subject. But we'll make this into a list, and we'll just add the dry run option. Saying no files have been generated, and it auto wraps. Awesome. Cool. Don't know why I was reevaluating my flake, but there we go. Cool. So we now got one commit. Those two commits have been squashed into one commit with a different message. So that's cool. Set. Okay, there's something else I was going to look at. I was going to finish this in about half an hour. I don't know whether they have time. I do want to look at Behat. I do want to, because what I want to do is something like, I would have a thing that's like, how does it work? Is it like given when then? Right, for Behat. So like given a build YAML file with this content, and there's a way of passing through like a table or something. We'll just pseudocode this out for now. But I feel like there's a way of doing this. And like what we've got is like a name. We've got an example, or what I'll do actually, it's find one of the ones from the snapshot test. I've got something for Commons Kickstart build, Kickstart YAML. Okay, maybe it's that one. Yeah, okay. So I've got a few of these example projects on GitHub that there's a few Drupal ones. There's like a main vanilla Drupal. There's a Commons Kickstart distribution one. There's a local gov distribution one. I've got a Symfony one, a Laravel one, a Sculpin one. I've got a few of these now, and I've moved them all to use this tool. So, and then in that snapshot test, I'm using that -c option to specify the config file, which in this case is Drupal Commons Kickstart YAML. But yeah, what I want to do is something like in a test. How would I define something like this? I feel like I can do it with Behat. When I generate the configuration files, then I should get, then I should have, then the following file should be present. So at the moment also it's Drupal, and then because there's differences and there's conditions about whether certain files only be generated if it's PHP, and certain ones be generated if obviously it's in web. I don't know, actually we do use that for some things. Actually, many things of what it generates, maybe not. Docker file, blah 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 blah. Get example. I'm trying to think of, yeah, like Nginx, and it'll generate different files. So I can say, and because it's like PHP versus JavaScript, because I do some fractal based projects with it as well. Like it'll generate different files based on the language or the type or whatever, but also like the content of it. So let's say we had one that said like Drupal doc root. So if like the doc root is doc root, then just think of an example. So we use it in PHP, let's say like PHP unit twig. Right, so things like this, the bootstrap part is going to be different based on whether it's web versus config, for example. So like the following part should be present, so we should have a PHP init.xml dist, and the content should contain, I'm pseudo coding this now, I don't know, I assume this is not, or I assume there's something maybe like this that checks the contents of the file, but I assume it's not that. But just pseudo coding that out for now, and I'll put this into notes and maybe we'll look at this next week. Yeah, so this should be web. And then what I'd also like then to do is have like the equivalent contain. Okay, so like there's test 1, there's test 2. And if we said then that like this one instead of web is called doc root. Let's see. So if we replace web doc root, both of those. So Drupal doc root is doc root. Seems a bit repetitive, but that's fine. So in that example, then it would be different. And in fact, funny enough, the Drupal commerce ones don't generate PHP unit files at all because there's no custom modules to test. So it's a bit of a bad example to be fair. Yeah, if we just like the normal one, not the commerce one, but like the normal Drupal example, the more basic one, that would generate a PHP XML file. Drupal.yaml, because yeah, I was at DrupalCon in Lille. I thought, oh, I'll make one for this because I can make them fairly quickly with using this tool. And went, oh, why is the thing failing? And it was generating a PHP init XML file, was not generating one that expected to be there because there aren't any modules or custom modules to test. So I had to, yeah, now it accepts like falsy values and won't generate the files if that's the case. Whereas something like that, like the normal Drupal one, would. Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. Example. Let's have something like that, because at the moment, if I jump back into that run file, I can show you like what I know. The snapshot testing frameworks and things. Let's see. I don't see any changes. Okay, let's just save as notes. Notes 2, so I've already got a notes file. Zoom this in a bit. Yeah, so I know that there are snapshot testing frameworks thing. I did look at some of the ones that were there before, but like, this is just like done with bash basically. So yeah, test snapshots thing that I'm running, delete any existing snapshots and make an empty folder, and then loop over these configurations. Drupal, Commerce, Kickstart, local gov, and then Fractal. Fractal's a JavaScript-based component library design system tool. So it gives me a good test for anything that's not PHP as well, because obviously there will be things like composed JSON files and things to look at. For each one, we're going to load the config file, get the input path, get the generate the output path. The convention I've got is anything in .ignored gets automatically get ignored globally. Let's see, cat out the config file. Then we run build configs, generate config file, output directory. So using those options we saw earlier to specify config file and an output directory. So we load up the Drupal commerce .yaml file and output it into .ignored snapshot output. And then we're just going through each file that it found and then checks whether they match or not. So that's what we have at the moment. Let's see if I can get this just to show this again. Run test snapshots. So yeah, it just goes through each one, then looks for Docker Fractal, generates these files. These files will match. So if I was to change, let's see, where are they? Tests. See, I don't work on this thing for a while, and then I forget where things are. Configs, output, Fractal. So yeah, in theory, even just like adding a line here now. Let's search file directory. Why? What does it mean? Error detected processing. Halo lint. Oh, it's trying to run linting on my Docker file, which is interesting. Okay, fine. We'll do a different file if you're going to be awkward. Right, so that's change. Yeah, I know. Let's go back and give that yeah, so yeah, let's say for example I change .uk to .dev. So each file it generates has this little comment at the top. Do not edit this file because I don't want people changing them and then having things matching, not working anymore. Save that. Let's make that. Yeah, so now we get files do not match. So yeah, we can see that this is what we get, and this is what we this is what we get. This is what we were expecting. Yes, or the other way around, doesn't matter. But they don't match. That's the main thing. So it's also hidden away though a little bit, having this bash file approach. And I do have a command also in that run file that says create a snapshot, so it will make them. So it's fairly straightforward, but this is why I want to look at something like Behat just to see, or something else. Behat's the one that's sprung to mind, and maybe that's because Ryan was talking about it on his stream for the SymphonyCast's Tut Hero thing, maybe. But yeah, I'm certainly up for trying it. Again, I've used it on projects before, but not for a few years probably. Yeah, let's maybe do a quick. I'll do maybe another 10, maybe 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna drop off, I think, and then maybe next week I can pick this up, unless I do some more streaming in the week, but we'll see. Okay, speaking of SymphonyCasts, we have a SymphonyCast video. Got the Behat one. Was anything in particular? Because I know that there's Symphony Flex and there's things that we can use like compose require PHP unit, and it will add it and like the bridge, the things. I am not as familiar with Symfony stuff as Drupal stuff, if I'm honest. So I'm not as up to date with all the things. Let's have a look. Symphony Flex. So we don't have Ryan in the chat able to see what's going on. There's a list, which I feel was like recipes, or there was something that showed you all of the options. Or maybe we should look at sort of Behat for command line tools. Let's see. Command line tool, Behat, command line. Is that for the actual tool itself, or let's see. Yeah, this looks exactly the same as when was the last time I looked at it, which was a while ago. But yeah, it's a tool that makes behavior-driven development possible. Imagine you've been asked to build an ls command. Yeah, this is what I mean. Yeah, given this and this and this, when I run this, I should get this. So I know you can write custom steps, which might be the wrong word, but so for things like when given this file, there might be an already existing step for that, or I might need to write my own one. But this is what I was saying. Let's say that earlier on. Let's bring that up again. Actually, let's notes 2. Let's remove the highlights. There we go. So this is what I was sort of going. I've used double backticks in mine. This one is double, triple quotes. It's the same sort of idea. So given I'm in this directory, I'll have a file. I should run this. That's cool. So yeah, I feel like we can do this, and I feel like it would make it a lot clearer what is being tested and what's happening. Usually, in a Drupal project, I'm usually running mostly functional web tests, and then some kernel tests, some integration tests, and that's the way I tend to work. And I've written some unit tests for some libraries and things that I've written. Haven't used Behat for a while, so this is, although I say I'm familiar with it from projects I worked on. Is any specific things for Symfony, or is it just? No, it doesn't look like. Installation, Composer, file, run, install. Okay. Basic usage. Yeah, in it. Okay. Right. Okay. Maybe we in the last 10 minutes or so, let's just see whether we can bootstrap this. So we have OBS. That's a good start. We have a composer JSON file. So again, I don't think we have. There's no Behat in here, and we do have a Nix flake at the beginning. So we have PHP.2. We have composer. So I don't need to run Docker commands, for example. I don't need to run Docker compose exec something composer. I can just run composer here. So create JSON the project root. Okay, download file. That seems a silly way, interesting way of doing it. Normally you have to run like composer require, right? That's usually the way to do it. So let's just grab this then. So used to pressing that switch to change toggle workspaces, and it's not what I want to do today. Composer, right, dev. Let's see. So it seems to have installed. That's good. and then bin. That's where my binary is, the actual tool itself. Let's have a look if it's in. Yeah, there's Behat there. So I think I have this set up, yeah, to allow my path. So I've got this set up to allow my path variable, which is where the shell will look for things, for binaries. I've added in .vendor bin, so it'll just look relative to wherever I am for a vendor bin for, which is why I can do Behat as well as doing vendor bin Behat. And because I'm using CSH, I can also do this. And it expands, and then bin, because there's also things with bin in it, or be in them. So yeah, that should, either of those work. So context class cannot be found. Okay, there were some more steps for you to run. After this, you'll be able to run Behat with bin Behat, or for us, it's vendor bin Behat, or just Behat. What's cool, actually, I think I've said that a few times. There's a Drupal integration Behat. They used to have a picture of a hat with a bee on it, and I remember Jeff Goodman, I think, one of his streams saying, "Oh, I didn't realize it was Behat because it's a bee," but you could just see that moment where something just clicks. Okay, we already have a project. We don't need to make a project. We don't need to move into. We're already inside the project, so we can just run Behat in it. And if I wasn't 5 or 10 minutes before the end of the stream, I would move this onto a different workspace. Next time I will probably do that. I don't have that set up anymore. Okay, let's just run Behat in it. People, yeah, I don't like this. When there's code snippets with the $ in them and then people copy paste them. I'm sure I've done it and probably have done it recently. But then when you try and copy paste things, it doesn't work. I used to have something in my shell configuration that set it to be a null value, essentially, to ignore it. But yeah, the GitHub do it with background images and things. Okay, let's have a look what's in LazyGit. Cool, so we have features with the bootstrap file. Cool. We've got those changes. We saw those earlier. They're not related. Then we've got the config file. Then obviously the log file has changed as well. Yeah, that's sort of what I expect to see. So vendor bin Behat. So no scenarios are set. Oh, cool. So it looks like we've got it at least bootstrapped and running. Let's see if we just copy this, will it work? So it's all flooding back to me how this works. Sort of, maybe. For example, the feature will be using the ls command, which of course we have. Since the ls command is not running features.ls. Okay, cool. So if we make this, I've said this now. At some point, change this, but not today. Okay, submit a file, and then we need this content. Is this the same feature? This is the top of the. This is yeah. Again, goodness me. Okay. Feature. Nice. Okay. Yep, it's all coming back. So we've set the actual feature, so we can set like a description here, and it just outputs it, but we still have no scenarios or no steps. Okay, and then add the following scenario to the end of the file. So this is our feature, and then this is the scenario within the feature. So this is a test case within a file, maybe. Okay, that's cool. I like the way it's just hiding things in different colors for me. Scenario given. I wonder, do I need to like indent them another level? That would seem logical. Okay, given this two files in a directory, given I'm in a directory test, I'll have a file called this and a file called that. Or else I should see this. Okay, makes sense. Okay. Let's see. Scenario. So it's outputting the things that we've put in. One scenario, one is undefined, 5 steps are undefined. Please use context, generate snippets. Okay. I'm going to assume we're going to do it inside feature context. And yep, this is all coming back. So we need to tell it what it means when it says I'm in a directory. So just put these here, I'm guessing, everybody. Guess we put these in here. Okay. Let's just recap what we did there. So it realized that we were adding lines that it didn't know what to do with them. Right? Like, given I'm in this directory, given this file exists, and this is where I was thinking earlier on, there might be, given we've got this build YAML file, or it contains this, or it should generate this file. This is what it's doing. So this, given this is the thing, and this is the placeholder, this is the string that it's going to look for, and then this is what it does already when it gets to that. So it's just the Gherkin language. I think that's the right thing for it. This is then going to run that PHP code behind the scenes. So it's sort of a layer on front of that. Cool. Okay, let's just make sure I'm not missing any words there. Executing. Let's get some steps. But yeah, this is what I'll want to do. Write that sort of language about, given this step, when I generate it with this, I should have this, and I can write the code that does it. Okay, let's see. It finds the file. Yeah, I've skipped a little bit ahead here. Given us in the directory called test, which we're not, which is why we're failing. Okay. Before we have by printing the expression, you need to create the step definition. Given I'm in a directory, so throw a pending exception. Are we throwing an exception? Let's jump back to the other file we were in. Feature context. Let's hop in that. Okay, so yeah, everything at the moment is throwing an exception. Presumably because it's wanting me to put the code in that tells it what to do. Of course, we're not in a directory called test. It's going to have to make the directory called test and then move into it. Good, I'm in this directory. Okay, so we need to tell it what that is. Okay. Given I'm in a directory. So arg1. So if we rename this arg1 for now, just to match what the thing is. Oh, got undo tree open. How did that go open? So this actually, yeah, let's rename it to do. This makes a bit more sense. So given I'm in a directory called dir, what the variable is dir. If it doesn't exist, make the directory and then change it into the directory. Try to change it here. No. Okay, cool. So now this has gone. These few lines were all red before. So this one's green. So this line should now be passing. Given me a directory called test. I have a file called foo. Okay, so now presumably we're going to need to keep going down and then fix this exception. Okay, so I have a file named, so it's going to make the file, or we need to tell it to make the file specifically. And again, let's call that file. So it's going to make the file, or at least try to. That fixes these two steps. So we've made the directory, we've changed into the directory, we've now got a file in a file called bal. Okay, when I run ls, okay, so in the exception, let's move on. Is run the command. Okay, so we go into run exec. Actually, something to make a mental of next time is, can I run this within Vim test? I don't know whether Vim test supports this. ls enable variable command. Okay, need to change this here again. It's a little bit frustrating that I have to keep doing that. Creation of dynamic property featuring on output is deprecated. Okay. That's interesting. Maybe I'm running a newer PHP version. Oh, I should get this. Okay. PyString node. That's also interesting. Next time I'm going to have to figure out the best way of doing this, because I want to try and do it so I had chat on the screen in case anybody did start chatting, but then I'm just aware that I keep switching to it inadvertently. So creative dynamic property output is deprecated, so I assume this is because I'm doing PHP 0.2, so maybe that's a thing that we can change quickly. And let's just see. Right, so now we're on page 2. Yeah, flakes and nicks is awesome. Yeah, okay, so there's deprecation warning at 8.2 that was causing that problem. Okay, I wonder whether anybody's aware of that. We'll have to make an issue. Cool, okay. Cool, that's interesting. So again, let's just make sure that we can make this fail by just changing that. Just make sure that it's testing what we think it's testing. Cool, then I should get bar2 and foo, which is what I've just changed it to, and the actual output is this. Cool, and then presumably again I can change this to be like echo. And then yeah, again, like it's running echo fine, but then the thing, yeah, okay, so this is, it's testing what I think is should be testing. So yeah, I think in an interesting place here to move forward, and maybe I'll do maybe a little bit more research into this before the next time I do a stream. But it's interesting. I haven't gone through this process for definitely for quite a while, so I was sort of assuming that it would have some of these standard steps pre-set up, but it's interesting to me that it still wanted me to fill them in and tell to, even like for this, what I would say to be a faith standard, I am in a directory, I have this file. So maybe if we have to do that anyway, then adding things like the things I was saying about earlier on aren't going to be that difficult. That's cool. Right, I think we've done that. So we've got the drive run option working. So that was quite cool. Again, whether we use that as part of a test or to check whether it doesn't, like during the actual file, like Behat is going to run the commands and then make the actual files on disk and everything. So it probably would be better for it to check the actual files, but we can check that and the message potentially. Yeah, just to validate that certain files are generated or not, because that's what I want to do. And the more I keep building this tool and adding more options to it, I'll just make sure that I've got a good, what I've got now works, and is testing what it needs to be and serving the purpose I set it up to do. I just want to make sure I can scale that, I think, properly and come back to it later on and not sort of go, oh, well, how did I set this up? And why did I do it this way with the bash script rather than using something else? And I know why, but it's a little while ago. So using a more sort of standardized tool could be interesting. And it's been a while since I've used Behat and been a while since I've done a stream. So it felt like put those things together and learn Behat again on a stream and add something else to my testing bow, I suppose. A few people have said about Behat again to me recently when I was doing my automated testing email course, and that's all based on Drupal and functional tests and PHP tests within Drupal. Nothing to do with Behat, but there's obviously a crossover between Drupal's functional browser web tests and Behat tests because they use the same thing under the hood. Like the Drupal ones use the main driver that Behat uses. So there's obviously some overlap, but in certain projects where maybe you're not doing have access to Drupal testing, if you're doing something else, then having Behat there as an option is good. And some people like having these sorts of files with steps in this sort of Gherkin English business driven requirements approach, rather than writing them in PHP or in JavaScript. And this is available for all the various languages, I think, as well. I think the Behat and Gherkin is the PHP implementation. I might be getting these wrong, or Cucumber. There's a few of them, but I'm probably getting these a little bit muddled because it's been a while. But yeah, you could write the same things in Python, and then obviously you just write Python code behind it to make it work. And instead of using Behat, you'd use something else. Yeah, that's been really good. I've really enjoyed being back on a stream. Hopefully it's all gone well and has worked, and I'll if that's the case, I'll look forward to doing some more, and we could do some more Behat on a future stream. So yeah, anybody watching this later on, feel free to comment in, let me know what you thought, and yeah, see you guys on the next one. Thanks.